One of many tactics in Nagoriyuki's powerful pressure game, the 6H OTG is a simple yet devastatingly effective way to set up strike-throw mix-ups from almost any stray hit. Given the sheer number of opportunities one can use it, the mileage you'll get for the amount of time it takes to learn is high for any budding Nagoriyuki player. Today, we'll look at how the setup works, how to convert it into it from any hit, and how best to follow it up to break down the opponent's defenses. This is Millennium, and this is Nagoriyuki's 6H OTG Okizeme explained. At its core, this is a simple setup. On a hard knockdown, OTG the opponent with 6H and immediately cancel it into Fukyo forward. By the time Nago recovers, he will be right on top of the opponent with about 9 to 10 frames of advantage, allowing you to perform a meaty 2K or close S, while the momentum of Fukyo carries him forward for continued pressure or a throw. On top of this, the 6H OTG itself deals great damage due to its 100% ground scaling and even restores a little over half of a bar of blood. But its true utility comes from how often we can do it. Let's review all of the moves that Nagoriyuki has that cause hard knockdowns. There's 2D, counter hit 5H, counter hit 2H, counter hit 6H, Kamirayuki or 214H, colloquially known as Beyblade, and Shizurayuki or 623H's first hit. Interestingly, even Red Roman cancel results in a hard knockdown. The only strikes that hard knockdown that we can't 6H OTG on are Shizurayuki's second hit and the third far slash. The 6H OTG setup doesn't work with Nago's ground throw or command throw. It also does work with air throw and counter hit jump H at specific distances, but these are much less consistent, so we'll mostly focus on grounded hits today. Let's look at these hits in action. 2D, counter hit 5H, counter hit 2H, counter hit 6H, Beyblade, and Shizurayuki. It's important to remember that the knockdowns still work without starting with these specific moves. We can take advantage of both normal Gatling mechanics and Nago's freeform special canceling to combo into any move that knocks down. As long as we end a combo with a 2D, Beyblade, or Shizurayuki's first hit, we can almost always follow up with a 6H OTG. For example, we could do 2K 2D into 6H OTG. We can do close S Shizurayuki into 6H OTG. We can do 5K 6K Beyblade into 6H OTG. We could also do far S Beyblade into 6H OTG. You might have already noticed, but it's sometimes necessary to Fukyo forward before the 6H OTG. If the opponent is too far when you OTG them, the momentum from Fukyo after 6H might not carry us far enough to do a close S. In this case, a far S might come out instead, which is generally not ideal. In situations where you're unsure of the spacing, it's usually safer to use a 2K as it has more range than close S and will still hit meaty. That being said, one reasonably consistent way to tell if the 6H OTG is close enough is to look at the opponent's character model. If it overlaps with Nago's model during the animation, you'll almost certainly be close enough to use close S after Fukyo. The closer the opponent is to the tip of the sword, the less likely a close S follow-up will work, and you should fall back to 2K. You should stick to using 2K or 3K to input crouch and kick. 1K can stop your momentum too early and cause it to whiff. We've now learned the basics of how this setup works, but there's lots of options for us to choose how to combo into it. How do we choose when to end our combo, and with what move? To figure out the answer to this question, we have to learn a little bit about Nago's combo theory and blood usage. Entering Blood Rage puts us in a losing position the vast majority of the time, so we want to avoid that. In order to avoid it, we need to understand how much blood our specials use, and therefore, how much blood we can afford to spend. Each bar of blood represents 100 units of blood usage. Each special move will generate 90 blood. Fukyo is a special case as it only generates about half, about 43 blood. 6H itself will lower our blood on hit by about 57. Reaching 300 will cause us to enter Blood Rage. While this explanation is a little bit simplistic as blood is generated and drained over time, it'll be enough for us to create some heuristics about its usage. The 6H OTG setup itself generates a net of about 14 units of blood, and so how we combo will depend on how much blood we're at when the combo begins. For less than 1 bar of blood, we want to use a maximum of 2 specials and 1 Fukyo before the OTG. From 1 bar to 2 bars of blood, we want to use at most 1 special and 1 Fukyo before the OTG. And above 2 bars of blood, it's best if we don't use any specials at all and just use a single Fukyo. So what does this look like in practice? For 0 to 1 bars of blood, a counter hit 5H combo could go 5H Beyblade Shizuruyuki Fukyo into the 6H OTG setup. For 1 to 2 bars of blood, a 5H combo could go 5H Beyblade Fukyo into the 6H OTG setup. And above 2 bars of blood, we're limited to just moves that innately hard knockdown. So we would counter hit 5H Fukyo into the setup. If we only want to use 1 special, we should use Beyblade over Shizuruyuki when possible, as Beyblade does more damage. As such, we should also use it before Shizuruyuki in a combo with both as well. The final thing that I want to mention is about using 6H after Shizuruyuki. Though it might seem similar on the surface, using 6H while the opponent is still in the air creates a different situation than 6H once the opponent has hit the ground. Note that in this clip, the close S after Fukyo whiffs. Be sure to 6H once the opponent has hit the ground and not before. Finally, let's talk about how to follow it up once you're in. I've talked a little bit about close S and 2K and some of the differences between the two already. You'll generally want to use close S over 2K when you can because of its better Gatling options, but let's explore exactly what they beat and what they lose to. Both close S and 2K will counter hit mashing or throws, and they will both clip jumping. However, both of these options will lose to backdashing and invincible reversals. So first, what should we do against backdashing? In this case, try 6H. If you Fukyo after this hit, the situation is extraordinarily similar to the 6H OTG. All of the same options apply. This means we can continuously 6H an opponent who is dead set on backdashing until they learn to stop. How do we play around invincible reversals? It's possible to throw them on startup, but this requires an element of manual timing. At some distances, namely the ones where a close S won't work and you need to 2K, you can cancel your Fukyo momentum early and then use the 6H. Its disjointed hitbox will clash with the reversal or even counter hit the recovery. But this isn't foolproof either. If we're worried about a reversal, simply doing Fukyo forward and punishing it when it comes out is the best option. So what do we do if our moves are blocked? We can get more in depth into how Nago pressure is structured another day, but both close S and 2K can be followed up with lows, overheads, or throws. 6H is a bit more complicated, but to get you started, try doing a momentum cancelled Fukyo back to bait the opponent into pressing a button and punish the whiff with one of your extremely long normals or Fukyo into a grab. Once we've conditioned the opponent to block on wake up, we can even change the initial attack after the Fukyo forward to be a mix-up as well. We can use overheads, throws, or even the command grab. That's what's so effective about this simple setup. Not only is it easily available and does good damage, It leads to a meterless mix-up, followed by potentially a second meterless mix-up in the span of less than 2 seconds. And with the right hits or conversions, it can even loop back right into itself. That's all from me today. Now get out there and start practicing. Thanks so much for watching. Apologies I haven't been around much the last half of a year, but if you're new here, I appreciate you tuning in, and if you're a returning sub, thank you again for sticking with me for so long. I'm really glad I was able to find something I could be passionate about educating people on again. I can't promise too much about what's coming in the future, but hopefully you'll hear from me again soon. Hope you're staying safe, happy, and healthy. Until next time, this was Millennium.